like to welcome you all at this first bilateral workshop on the Earth observation opportunity for space startups. This event, developed in collaboration with the SmartSat CRC, is the first tangible outcome of the MOU that the two foundations signed in October last year. We would like to acknowledge that the land where the Andy Thomas Space Foundation operates is the traditional lands for the Ghana people, and that we respect the spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Ghana the Ghana people as the traditional custodian of the Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Ghana people today. It is amazing to be here with you all, more than 170 attendees. These testify that there is a great interest to meet, to talk, to grow this bilateral collaboration between Italy and Australia in the space sector. Please, who's not talking, stay mute, because otherwise there is a noise. The purpose of this event is to strengthen the bilateral collaboration within the two countries, providing a dynamic platform to young students, young entrepreneurs to they grow through the international collaboration. Shared knowledge, expertise, and market is very important, and this is a way to initiate their career. In the next hour, thanks to our speaker, we are able to receive an update about Earth observation in the two countries. The National Space Agency, the Italian one and the Australian one, will be able to provide a background, but also they talk about what is the next future. The two important.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello. The two important research organizations, SmartSat CRC and ISPRA, will provide a summary of their activity, but also opportunity for data observation for our student, in particular our startup. And then expert of Italian Space Agency will present the Earth observation mission, programs, and also activity that Prisma is doing. After this first hour, I will leave the floor to Tim Person, who is the chair of the Aurora cluster, is a SmartSat initiative. Tim will moderate a discussion among 10 startups, 5 from Italy and 5 from Australia. I understand that probably there are 4 from Australia. And that is with the goal to promote collaboration among them. Share knowledge, share expertise, and market as very important. So I'm now the pleasure to welcome Maria Cristina Favela and then Michael Davis, that are the chair, the president of the Amaldi Foundation and the Andy Thomas Foundation, respectively. Maria Cristina.
Thank you. Thank you. May you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfect. So thank you, Nicola, and good morning and good afternoon for the Australian colleagues at the same time to everybody. I'm very pleased to introduce this initiative as the first step, as Nicola said, of a collaboration started in Dubai last October between Andy Thomas Foundation and Fondazione Amaldi, and at the same time as an opportunity to figure out the new scenario in which the space sector and more than ever space economy are evolving. Every year, the new space economy attracts more private investment and new non-space users, while also creating groundbreaking companies. Small-scale companies and startups can play in this scenario a key role in forging new disruptive lines of business and facilitating the involvement of newcomers. They are important candidates also for developing niche markets and valuable partners also for large system integrators, which at the end have a new chance to consolidate and update the value chain. During the last decade, the miniaturization of satellite and the cheaper access to space has triggered an outward revolution, resulting in advanced satellite-based Earth observation data infrastructure. Now, the industry is undergoing a second revolution, where software companies are utilizing this data stream for monitoring every square meter on Earth. The very small companies are the true game changer in this evolution. The entrance, indeed, of a brilliant tech startup, generally small, early stage, and also risky, has indeed transformed Earth observation in a daily tool for services. It has accelerated innovative solutions both at hardware and software level, and more importantly, it has brought products closer to the end users. However, the business case of Earth observation implies new priority and brings everyday new driving parameters for new initiative and investment. Then, event and opportunities to interact with others in space industry are crucial to always be at the forefront of innovation and technological advances. We should now taking maximum advantage of such opportunities by supporting new companies to be global, to establish partnership, and to find paths where they can combine capabilities to meet the customer needs and to encourage a wider use in the next few years. This is the goal of both Fondazione Amaldi and Andy Thomas Foundation. Personally, I consider the workshop of today one of the key steps to bridge Australian and Italian small companies and to foster collaboration and joint initiative. Let me close just mentioning that in Italy there is a big attention drawn to this process and in general to new space economy. In fact, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has recently established a dedicated office, the Directorate for Promotion of the Country System, to support space SME and startup in their foreign projection and participation in international tenders. This office will facilitate agreements between space agencies and promote Italian participation in the most innovative international programs. Looking forward now to hear from you today, I conclude by thanking you for your attention and by wishing you a fruitful workshop. And it's my pleasure, of course, to give the floor to Professor Michael Davis, the chair of the Andy Thomas Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria Cristina, and lovely to see you. Buongiorno, everyone. It's my great pleasure just to say a few words about the Andy Thomas Space Foundation. And I'll just, hopefully you can see my first slide. We have a short but proud history. We were established in July 2020. We're independent of all other organisations, although we're very closely aligned and associated with the Australian Space Agency. And
Michael, we can't see your slides at this point.
Okay, let me see what I can do to fix that. Can you see the slide now? No?
No.
Sorry, just bear with me 1 second.
That's it. Thank you.
Apologies for that. So I'll accelerate my presentation. I've already spoke of our origins. We're named in honour of the first Australian citizen to fly in space, Dr. Andy Thomas, a veteran of 4 NASA missions. And he, together with Dr. Megan Clark, the first and founding head of the Australian Space Agency, are our patrons. We have 3 main purposes: advancing space education, raising space awareness among the community, and contributing to the national space debate through the Australian Space Forum and other events. We are very proud that in our first year, we managed to launch and successfully complete 7 different scholarship and prize award programs, ranging from activities for kids in primary school to scholarships for PhD students and postdoctoral students. Our collaboration with the Amaldi Foundation was formalised on the 27th of October last year in Dubai. And as your website, Maria Cristina, states, it's an important and international interface between the space community and non-space community, supporting the development of space entrepreneurship and facilitating engagement and cooperation in the space sector. So I'd like to express my thanks and hopefully on behalf of all of the participants in this workshop, to the workshop organisers. I know how hard you've been working behind the scenes to bring this all together. The topic of Earth observation is of great importance to both countries, Italy and Australia. And I'm speaking personally, I'm looking forward very much to hearing what our bright, young, talented entrepreneurs and startup companies are planning in this very important space application. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Maria Cristina. Maria Cristina, if you have any suggestion or some tender or some call that could be useful for all the people involved in this workshop, please, share, because we are looking for opportunity, to work together. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Enrico Palermo, the head of the Australian Space Agency.
Thank you, Nicola. Buongiorno and good morning or good afternoon to everyone joining us. I would also like to start by acknowledging the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the land here in Adelaide, where I speak from today, and pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Colleagues, it's wonderful to be part of this workshop, bringing together both Australian and Italian startups. In my opinion, workshops like this can be very powerful, and I'm excited to see what may come out of it, and encouraging the development of a sector here in Australia is very much at the heart of the mandate for the Australian Space Agency. I'd like to extend the thanks Michael did to the organisers at the Andy Thomas Space Foundation and the Edoardo Amaldi, our foundation, for organising this event. And it's certainly proud to see this coming together. I was able to support the MOU signing, albeit virtually, at IAC last year. Italy and Australia have a very important relationship as it pertains to space, and I'd definitely like to acknowledge my counterpart, President Sarkocha, for his leadership and support of development of this MOU. At the agency, global collaboration international is a pillar of what we do every day, and we see it as vital for the success of the Australian space industry, because we all know that space is an international business. Now, we have strong relationships with all of Europe's, or not all, with many of Europe's national space agencies, and of course ESA, but RC in particular is one of the key partners on civil space matters. And as a result, we signed a memorandum of understanding with RC in 2019 as a way to open up possibilities for Australian and Italian researchers, organisations, industry like today, governments, to explore collaboration. And so today's workshop is very much a manifestation of that MOU. And I want to acknowledge last year, President Sarkocha hosted the G20 Space Economy Leaders meeting as part of Italy hosting the G20. And at this meeting, we discussed how we can use space for the benefit of people, planet, and prosperity. And a significant discussion topic, it's very relevant to the use of Earth observation, in which we see there are immense opportunities to have a real and positive impact on life on our planet. I do want to congratulate our colleagues in Italy and ASI for their recent announcement or agreement to be the first European country to develop an Earth observation system. Looking forward to hear more about that. That it's an inspiring and ambitious project that we would look to support as it goes forward. One example of how we're currently collaborating with Italy is on the University of Melbourne Spirit mission. This is funded by the agency's International Space Investment Initiative. And I think it's a good sign of how we can collaborate across our borders. This mission aims to grow Australian space satellite capabilities, and we'll see the first Australian space-made spacecraft that will host a foreign space agency payload, with the ASI providing innovative X-ray remote sensing detector. So to the topic of Earth observations, Earth observation is one of the priority areas for the Australian Space Agency, one of 7 priority areas. And it's a priority area because Earth observation has a huge impact, a huge positive impact across the Australian economy in areas such as agriculture, emergency management, transportation, health, weather, communications, literally many of the sectors of our economy. And so in November last year, we proudly released our Earth observation roadmap, which set a 10-year vision for this area of the space industry, and really is a guide to the sector, both domestically and internationally, where you will see over time government invest and drive a priority for support. And this roadmap will help Australia secure access to Earth observation data. It will see us make more valued contributions to the global observing system, enable international collaboration, and ultimately, I think we'll see Australia deliver its own Earth observation missions and payloads. So I encourage you to look at the roadmap, seize the opportunities in there. Again, thanks to the organisers for bringing together this workshop today. It's really important to our mandate to support this, and I wish all participants well and a really engaging and fruitful discussion today. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Enrico, and of course the Earth observation technological roadmap is an important guideline for Australia, and we need to now try to, with our colleagues in Italy, to find some nice implementation. And then I would like to give the floor to the Fabrizio Battazza, the Italian Space Agency's representative of the European Space Agency Earth Observation Board Applied Research Experience. Fabrizio is.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you. And good morning and good evening to everyone. We would like to thank the Andy Thomas Foundation and Edoardo Amaldi Foundation for having invited us today to attend this joint workshop. It's a great pleasure for ASI to participate to this workshop. My name is Fabrizio Battazza. As you said, Nicola, thank you for the introduction. From ASI, Head of the Relations with ESA in the International Affairs Directorate. And I bring you the greetings of President Saccoccia, who is in Florida, in US, to attend the launch of the second satellite of the Cosmos Skymed second generation constellation, scheduled today in the late afternoon of Cape Canaveral. With this launch, Italy will have 7 Earth observation satellites in orbit, 4 belonging to the Cosmos Skymed first generation, 2 to the second generation, and the remaining one is the Prisma hyperspectral satellite. As said by Mr. Palermo, Italy is enhancing its space assets with important investments in space, and in particular in Earth observation. Today, Italy resources are composed of national funds and further 2.5 billion coming from the Resilience and Recovery Fund, made available to the European Commission. Thanks to this new funding, we are starting, with the support of the European Space Agency, the development of new Earth observation constellation, having multi-payloads and high revisit time, with the aim to provide stronger services for national interests and commercial purposes. Services to be dedicated to several fields such as land and infrastructure surveillance, coastal protection, climate and environmental monitoring, emergency management, and also with the aim to enhance concretely the space economy through an EO downstream innovation ecosystem, fostering large, small and medium enterprises. This constellation will be complementary to the European Copernicus program and to the Cosmos Skymed, of course. Italy is one of the main contributors in Copernicus that is composed of a space and a service component, offering a wide range of opportunities and allowing the European companies, including Italian, of course, to improve their capabilities. European Union space program is composed also with Galileo, SSA, and GovSatCom components, strengthening the role of Europe in the space domain. Moreover, at the end of this year, the ESA Council Ministerial meeting will give further opportunities through the subscriptions of new programs representing real new investments for the next years. In Europe and at national level, co-funding initiatives using public and private investments are increasing more and more. As said also by Maria Cristina, the main objective of such initiatives is to empower the economic operators to invest in competitive products and services to facilitate them in the market access. Italy and Australia are important partners, as mentioned by Mr. Palermo.
Hello.
We have a long
It's definitely
collaboration
boring, isn't it?
and experience that together. ASI and ASA signed a memorandum of understanding in 2019 regarding space cooperation for peaceful purposes, envisaging wide areas of common interest, including Earth observation and related applications. There are several topics that could be interesting to explore together, among the others agriculture, climate change monitoring, land use, fires and deforestation, urban planning, water management, air, water, land pollution monitoring, ecosystem management. ASI is ready to make available Cosmos Skymed and Prisma data and to foster joint projects also involving national institutions and companies. The Italian space infrastructure, today composed of a relevant number of satellites, is fully integrated with a key ground infrastructure. But most of all, an ecosystem of national economic operators, including startups, allows Italy to have a certain degree of maturity in the Earth observation data exploitation, to be used for integrated EO applications and for service provision. Later on, the panel discussion include interventions from some Italian economic operators fully part of this ecosystem. So this event, thank you again to Maria Cristina and Michael Davis, to the Amaldi and the Thomas Foundation. This event will offer further opportunities to pursue the understanding of the best modalities to interact among Australian and Italian companies, then helping the identification of common interests, complementarity, and synergies, with the ambition to achieve solid outcomes from our cooperation. So satellites with their payloads and sensors help to solve some of the issues related to different topics, water monitoring, we know, improving the quality and quantity of the harvest, reducing the risk of natural disasters. Nowadays, space-based applications are fully part of our daily life. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Very, impressive presentation. In particular, this new constellation of satellites that is the new generation of Cosmos Skymed, very impressive. And I hope to see some collaboration among the two ecosystems. That is means not just industry, but also research organization. And this is give me the opportunity to introduce the next speaker, the Professor Andy Koronius, the CEO of the SmartSat CRC, that is a national research organization heavily involved in a joint project between research organization, university, and private companies. So that is something that we can maybe explore some collaboration with you. Andy is the
Thank you very much, Nicola. Thank you for that, and thank you to all of you for organizing this already great workshop. It is wonderful to see that we're bringing so many people together from our respective countries to really talk about collaboration. It is great also that you've started with the SMEs and the startup ecosystem in space. That's appropriate, and that's for us is very, very vibrant here. It's growing and vibrant, and we want to add to that. But in the future, as Nicola said, it would be wonderful in future workshops to also connect our R&D ecosystems, because as you know, it's the R&D in space that will create the knowledge and that will develop the technologies that will provide us with the next generation of solutions for so many problems that we have. and particularly the great phrase that Enrico used before, which was basically collaboration in space for people, planet, and prosperity. I love that. I think that's really what our two respective countries and ecosystems should be doing. I will break away from the flow, and if you permit me, I will actually share some slides for you, if that's okay, to just show you a little bit about the SmartSat CRC and what we are hoping to do. I hope that you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, as we've discussed.
It's not full screen though, Andy.
Okay, I wonder why.
Yeah, that's good. That's good now. Might have just been a lag.
Okay.
It's probably the refresh rate. Yeah, I don't have a very fast internet at home, so maybe it's that. Okay, the SmartSat CRC is all about collaboration. It's all about bringing the research community as well as government, as well as the academic and the industry communities together in space so that we can do some really, really big things. And certainly the SmartSat CRC is the biggest collaboration that we've had in space. And we hope to be able to underpin and support and drive in many ways the innovation in space that our great companies, our SMEs and our startup community is involved in. As you can see, there are some global companies involved in the and our members are in the SmartSat CRC, including Airbus and BAE, and very importantly, of course, we have Leonardo as our members. We have Thales Alenia Space, and many other companies, both global as well as national companies that are members of the SmartSat CRC. Altogether, this is the biggest space industry research collaboration in Australia's history. We are very proud of that, and both the work that we do as well as the membership is growing constantly. We now have more than 130 organizations that are interacting and investing and working with us to solve some great problems, R&D problems for space. We have an overall budget of more than $250 million, and up to now we are about 3 and a bit years old, and up to now we have already approved more than 100 projects in R&D, PhD scholarships, and so on. We have 73 PhD scholarships that we are looking for students. We have filled some of those, but we are looking for students to really help us underpin and build the capability in the space ecosystem. We are very focused around 3 major areas of research. One is in the advanced communications area, both at the communications, satellite to satellite, satellite to ground, but also in the IoT connectivity, using space and IoT technologies to provide universal connectivity all over the globe. That's very important to Australia because although we are a very small country in population, we are actually a huge continent, and we have an economic zone around Australia, which is makes us about 1/10 of the planet. So we have a lot of area to cover. We're also working very much in the next generation of Earth observation and remote sensing technologies, data services, analytics, and even down to the sensor design area. And of course, we are very interested, like everyone else, we're very interested in artificial intelligence as applied to satellite technologies, as applied not only to the platforms themselves, make them more intelligent and more aware of their environment, but also to the payloads as well, make the payloads far more intelligent, and even make the processing part of the processing on board the platform. As you know, our great space agency has mapped out 7 different priorities, and we at SmartSat can map and focus on a number of those areas, on a number of those priorities, so that we can contribute to the great work that the space agency is doing now and will continue to do, particularly, as I've said, around the Earth observation, around the communication, as well as the R&D, the leapfrogging R&D. But of course, we cannot do it by ourselves. We need to be working together and collaborating with many of our international collaborators, and particularly we need to learn. We need to actually act as apprentices, excuse me, to learn from those who have actually done a lot more than we have, to stand on their shoulders. And certainly Italy has done a lot of this work, and with your satellites and your capability in space, we can really learn quite a lot from you. And hopefully in time, we could also share some of our knowledge. I was looking at Prisma, for instance, and the phenomenal capabilities in EO in remote sensing that it has, something like 250 hyperspectral bands, and being able to then answer the questions around the UN sustainable goals, around quality of our waterways. We will be focusing on that very much, about the next generation of agriculture, because the world population is growing dramatically, and Australia and many other countries will need to really increase the production of food, and to do it in a way that it doesn't destroy our environment, to do it in a sensible way, in a sustainable way. So for that, then remote sensing can be very, very, very important. In fact, it's critical for us to understand the health of our crops, to understand where we should be cropping, and also what damage or how we're impacting the climate and the environment and the land and waterways because of our cropping. We're also very big, of course, in mining. So we want to be able to answer some questions about the next generation of technologies for exploration, for rare minerals exploration. And I understand from what I read on Prisma, I can understand that actually the data that you are collecting can help us do just that. So we would love to be able to collaborate with you and to really work together hand in hand and exchange ideas so that we can really not only bring the industries, the space industries into far more prosperity, as Enrico said, but also to transform our other sectors of the economy. And we are focusing very much on agriculture and natural resources. We are focusing naturally on mining and energy, because that's very important. And we are focusing on telecommunications and connectivity. And naturally, in an environment of significant geopolitical uncertainty, we also are supported by defense, and we want to contribute to the defense and national security, not only of Australia, but actually to ensure that we make our small contribution in having peace all over the world. Some of the international collaboration opportunities, the ways that we can, tangible ways in which that we can collaborate. First of all, we can do some joint projects. We can actually work together to, even now that you already have fantastic data repositories of remote sensing data, how can we work together to actually include and make more applications and add more value and innovate on that data? I understand you're doing work in Iraq, in Peru, in the United States. I think we could put Australia on that map of yours as well with some of the work that you are doing. And we could do that through joint projects. We also are looking for high quality professors that we could employ together, perhaps, to build the capability here in Australia and the international collaboration. Nicola has been instrumental in initiating a distinguished speaker series, and we actually already had some Italian experts to give us their wisdom and their expertise through that scheme. And I know, of course, that at the moment, international borders are quite restricted, but we are very hopeful. In fact, we are very confident that moving forward, those borders will open, and we will certainly be able to finance and support visiting researchers, visiting experts to come from Italy to work with us, and hopefully vice versa, to have some of our researchers, but also some of our PhD students and other interns visit Italy and spend time. In fact, I think we already had an intern from the University of Milan a couple of years ago, just before COVID. We want to make sure that we have some international partnerships, and certainly some partnerships with Italy, given the great expertise and experience that you have in this area. And as I said before, we are now accepting applications for scholarships. We provide full scholarships for PhD students. And of course, the best way to do that is not just to ask the Italian postgraduate to come and do a PhD with us, but to do that in a way that it builds the bridge between your universities and ours to work together, to collaborate together. Thank you very much for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about SmartSat, and I look forward for us to progress some very nice collaborations between Italy and Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. I think that you throw a lot of inputs and collaboration. So there are, I think there are a couple of activity here, not only the PhD, but also what I'm thinking is a joint working group to explore, in which way we can use image data from Italian satellites, the constellation satellites, Prisma, Cosmos, for our companies, in particular application like water monitoring or agriculture or emergency management. But it's my pleasure now to introduce Andrea Taramelli from the Italian National Institute for Environment Protection and Research. Andrea.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, first of all, the Andy Thomas Space Foundation and Amaldi Foundation. I'm really pleased to be, invited to have this short speech here, because I start from what just was said from Fabrizio, but also from Professor Andy, is the fact that there's really a great chance right now in Italy, but in Europe in general. So Fabrizio has underlined how the next generation EU is going to be used also in Italy, so building up a new satellite constellation. But the really good link is the fact that we are starting to build a new satellite constellation, thinking already on what as services is going to be using this type of data. So the great chance is really starting a new paradigm. And Fabrizio has cited the Copernicus, so how much the user need and the user requirements has a leading role in that sense. So in this sense, in Italy, we have set up a scheme where the Fondazione Amaldi is one of the we have called the Copernicus Relay, so the key partners stimulating the widening of the ecosystem. So as already also Maria Cristina has underlined, it's a change of paradigm where big industry in the aerospace are slightly joined by different players in the ecosystem, so like software development, but also different realities. So we have talked about the agricultural sector. So we want to use more and more data, Earth observation data for the agricultural sector. But in order to do so, we have to figure it out how we can, let's say, squeeze in the market of the agricultural sector, who are, the key player in that sense, and which are the small and medium enterprise that can really help the Earth observation thematic area to get more and more used by the agricultural sector. So in Italy, we have set up this We have called that the valorization roundtable, where we are setting up several implementation groups, one fully dedicated to agriculture, but also to other type of services, the coastal area, the cultural heritage, on what we have called the inside situational awareness. And we are really stimulating, and I'm happy that several actors that were invited by Fondazione Amaldi are here to present what they are already doing. Making a table where you can find really key players for agricultural sector, for cultural heritage that have, let's say, no clue about Earth observation, but they want to discover what the Earth observation can do in that sense. And in this, let's say, roadmap, we are supporting and stimulating what we have called the public and private partnership. So using the public sector as an anchor tenancy. So how can we really make a real public-private partnership? So the huge investment that also the Next Generation EU is bringing to Italy is the possibility to stimulate this public-private partnership, where small and medium enterprise can get a real role into the public sector. And then, representing a business model where, based on the public sector, they can build up a business model where they can apply the same application into the private market, but not the private market of like the space industry, the private market, let's say, of the multi-utility. So how can we apply this type of approach based on what is discussed with the public sector and what can be used in the private sector? I try to be, more clear. The idea is the fact that in the public sector, at least in Italy, but also in Europe, there's still a high need of being, trained and informed about Earth observation in terms of public services. So there's an attention how to use new Earth observation. I'm happy, that you were citing Prisma, but Prisma is a complicated data. So you need to train and inform the public sector how to use the Prisma data. It's not an easy data to be just downloaded and put into the services that are already running. So you need also small and medium enterprise that support and inform the public sector how to use this type of data and how is the added value that this kind of data can bring to the daily work. On the other hand, the public sector can, let's say, not help, but can exchange with the enterprise some expertise, specifically in thematic areas. So we have cited a lot the agricultural sector, and we have 2 or 3 cases in Italy. One is Bonifiche Ferraresi, where the public sector and the private sector has started up to build up services, agricultural services based on, Earth observation, but really daily work services. In order to do so, I'm really underlining that what is really still needed, it's several discussion workshop like that. And I'm happy that also Professor Andy was underlining that you need to exchange expertise also at research level. So you have to bring all these different actors to the same table, trying to stimulate not only discussion, but really a changing of expertise and exchange of expertise. So what we have stimulated in Italy and in the Next Generation EU, it's of course focused on the implementation of this new constellation, but there will be, quite a big availability of new funding in order to stimulate, let's say, incubators and exchange with other, communities. Of course, Australia could be one of these. Of course, it's really dedicated to Italy, but the collaboration is one of the key issues that it's really under discussion also at the government level. So it's not only just a huge investment on the aerospace sector, but really an investment that has to be linked to improving the connection of the ecosystem. So just an example, in the agricultural sector, we are trying to bring at the same table also reinsurance company, but not only a big reinsurance company, but small and medium insurance company at territorial level. Of course, they know what is the real market that they have to face. So in this sense, they discuss with the agricultural sector, and they can bring expertise to this sector using the Earth observation ecosystem. If we don't stimulate this type of approach, it's really difficult to get to the final end user and to the final market. So what can be done based on what you're also discussing today is really needed to exchange expertise, and it is based also on exchanging, let's say, students, PhD students or PhD programs, but also exchanging expertise in terms of like investment on young people for training period. And this is really important to be made also in joint understanding between public and private. This is the really new change in paradigm with the space economy, where it's not just the public investment and then, let's say, the private company that are solving the problem, but they have to jointly solve the problem. This is something really important because also in Italy, we were sort of used to having the problem, going to the private company, putting the problem on the table, and then waiting for the solution. This is not the way. In the space economy ecosystem, in the next generation EU, we are really stimulating a public-private partnership in this sense, where the public part is the anchor tenancy, but also exchange of expertise. So this type of let's say opportunities will be stimulating space startups a lot. So you have also to face the reality that most of the time in the public services, when you talk about space, people think about like just something really in distance, while we are all using this type of information. But we have to stimulate also the public sector to be, let's say, less scared about the Earth observation. And we have to find a way to make the Earth observation data and information more simple to be used. This is really important, and this type of workshop must find not solution, but must find proposal in this sense. How can we bring the two, let's say, different or distant worlds together? So in this sense, with the Copernicus Relay as Fondazione Amaldi is, there could be, and I put on the table because you were asking, what could be some, possibility to join to Workly. There will be some open call also under the Horizon Europe that will have at least 1 or 2 open call, for stimulating this type of collaboration between countries also outside Europe. I think one is going to be in, I think in October. So in this sense, this could be, a good way of proposing something together, specifically for the market uptake. Maybe also the EUSPA, but then I look more to Maria Cristina and Luigi Scatteglia because they are more inside the EUSPA, system. The EUSPA system is the new agency at the European level, and also the EUSPA is trying to find some ways of stimulating the market. So this could be also other possibility, and really proposing some market public-private partnership jointly working. It could be, a good idea to put on the table. Europe is sort of running fast within the pandemic, in order to, to raise up again. And the Europe and also Italy has really, has really put the space segment at the center of the improvement. So it's really a great chance. The number of new satellites that are coming is quite extensive, but we really have to find a way of not only demonstrating, but start to simplify all this type of data and find a simple way for end user to get used to this type of data. So I really thanks for for the invitation, and I think the time is really good to do this.
Thank you, Andrea. And if I can say, in terms of proposal, Andy Coronius, before you, they talk about these PhD available, completely funded by the SmartSat CRC. I can put something on top. as you are one of the more active research organization in Italy, we can think about some joint PhD. So with your university, our university, identify some also private organization that is more oriented on the application in terms of which way we can translate all of these image data in a benefit for agriculture, for example. So we are more than welcome, with Maria Cristina and Lorenzo to set up a working group in order to explore this opportunity. These resources are available. Andy Coronios said before that is on the table. So if we find some good university to share some smart guys, for 3 years they are funded by the SmartSat CRC. But let me introduce Giorgio Licciardi and Patrizia Sacco. They are from the Italian Space Agency, and they will talk about Earth observation missions and downstream program. Giorgio, Patrizia, the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. I start with me, so I try to share my presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Patrizia Sacco from Italian Space Agency, where I work in the Earth Observation Division. In this presentation, I would like to provide a brief overview of the Earth observation missions, both radar and optical, included in the ASI roadmap. In this regard, here you can see the main satellites currently in operations, together with those that are planned to be launched in the next years. In order to ensure the Italian leading role in the remote sensing sector, ASI intends, on one hand, to promote several activities and technology developments in different fields, and on the other hand, it will continue to develop Earth observation operational missions in order to satisfy the evolving user needs. Regarding the microwave missions, impossible not to start talking about the dual use on-demand Cosmos Skymet satellite constellation, unique of its kind and by now recognized all over the world thanks to its use in countless events, mainly related to emergency situations, in the service of the major international institutions. The deployment of Cosmos Skymet second generation guarantees the operational continuity to the first generation and represents a technological leap in terms of performances and operational life of the system. The first Cosmos second generation satellite was launched in December 2019, while the launch of the second one is scheduled just in these days. In the next few years, the constellation will be completed with the development of the third and fourth satellites. As said before, several improvements and new functionalities have been introduced in Cosmos second generation with respect to the first one. The main improvements regard new sensor modes, also thanks to an increased flexibility of the payload and of the platform, improved image quality, an evolved mission planner able to better satisfy the user requests, improved access to the system thanks to a new portal directly accessible from the ASI website. Here are summarized the improvement in image quality with regard to the first generation. In parallel with the deployment of and launches of the second generation satellites, ASI intends to fund a study for the conception of new SAR systems for an innovative constellation with performances and mission lifetime beyond Cosmos second generation. The study has been called Cosmos Skymet Next Generation. Here I show you a beautiful Cosmos second generation image of the Egyptian pyramids. Among the future missions, Platino is conceived as a multi-purpose small satellite platform, which will be capable of embarking a whole range of payloads. For the first mission, Platinum 1, a compact radar operating in X-band will be developed for both bistatic and monostatic operation. 2 phases are foreseen for this mission. Phase 1, in which Platinum 1 will perform bistatic acquisitions together with a Cosmos Skymed satellite, and phase 2, in which it will perform monostatic acquisitions. With a development phase started in 2017, the launch of Platinum 1 is planned by the end of 2022. Another SAR mission is GeoSAR, a joint Italian-Russian technical scientific geosynchronous SAR mission, for which a feasibility study is currently underway. The GeoSAR system is planned to be based on the use of the geosynchronous orbit for SAR applications. This highly innovative concept allows obtaining a new capacity complementary to the assets currently deployed in low Earth orbit, guaranteeing, therefore, a continuous availability of data in selected areas, allowing particularly promising applications in the field of monitoring and emergency management, agriculture, natural resources, and meteorology. To be counted among the radar missions, also SAOCOM, owned by the Argentinian space agency CONAE, and composed of 2 satellites, SAOCOM 1A and SAOCOM 1B. The Italian-Argentinian SIASGE is an Earth observation program set up by the international cooperation between ASI and CONAE for complementary utilization of the Italian Cosmos Skymed X-band and the Argentinian SAOCOM L-band satellites. In the framework of such collaboration, a certain amount of SAOCOM data acquisition and processing resources has been reserved to ASI for exclusive use in the so-called zone of exclusivity, approximately corresponding to all the European territory. For what concerns the optical missions, the Italian know-how in the hyperspectral field has been obtained mainly thanks to the PRISMA mission, whose satellite is in orbit since 2019. PRISMA first generation is a national program fully funded by ASI and realized by Italian industries. It embarks a hyperspectral sensor and a medium-resolution panchromatic camera. The hyperspectral sensor is able to acquire 240 spectral bands with a spectral resolution of 14 nanometers. The system can acquire 223 spot images per day and process up to 200 images per day. The average system response time is near 7 days. Here is another beautiful images. This is a PRISMA images of the Etna volcano in Italy. In order to capitalize and consolidate the level of technological excellence achieved at national level, ASI has started the activities for a second generation of PRISMA mission. Innovative technological solutions such as spatial and radiometric resolution and state-of-the-art optics will be adopted in order to improve the key characteristics of the mission. The mission will introduce new operational concepts of constellation-based systems aimed at satisfying resolution, SWOT, and revisit requirements. The PRISMA second generation operational mission is planned to be deployed in 2025 in order to provide to the users a continuous access to hyperspectral data. Among the passive sensors, we have also Shalom, a mission jointly conceived by ASI and the Israeli Space Agency. The mission aims to develop a system based on a single satellite in low Earth orbit, combining an Italian hyperspectral instrument and a platform provided by Israeli companies. The mission is intended to acquire hyperspectral measurements of the Earth radiation reflection and absorption in the visible near-infrared, short-wave infrared spectral range, and panchromatic images of the Earth simultaneous with the hyperspectral measurements. By exploiting the same platform of Platino 1, ASI has also initiated the Platino 2 mission that will embark a thermal infrared sensor with 40 meters resolution. The aim of Platino 2 mission is also qualifying the multi-compatibility of the platform by means of an infrared payload at a much lower altitude than Platino 1. The contract is ongoing and the launch is currently foreseen by the end of 2024. Still in the frame of Platino program, ASI intends to develop a third and fourth mission, Platino 3 and Platino 4, that will embark high-resolution and hyperspectral payloads. The development of this next platform is performed also to support the continuous platform technology development. To conclude, we can say that Italy looks at the space. Several activities are going that will provide Italy with a leadership role at world level in the Earth observation sector. Thank you from my side.
Okay.
Thank
you. I will continue the presentation from ASI side. Let me share, please, my screen. Is it okay for you? Okay. I'm going to present the activity of the downstream unit of the Italian Space Agency. As we see now, the Italian Space Agency have a complete end-to-end supply chain activity from the upstream up to downstream. In this case, our section is devoted to the exploitation of all the data that have been produced by the upstream sector, but not only to this. Indeed, the main role of the ASI downstream unit is to encourage the use of the Italian space infrastructure in order to exploit this data, but also to promote the use of space-derived products and services among traditional market sector. After this, we are devoted to addressing needs also from the industrial, scientific, and public administration sectors. And we tend to focus on specific thematic areas that are of interest from the Italian point of view. Now, what we do, and now we do in order to exploit data and support the industrial environment in Italy. In the last period, we started several programs to support the development of new technologies and new services based on space technologies, not only Earth observation, but also the other space infrastructure such as telecommunication and geolocation and positioning. We have started these three main programs, multi-frequency SAR, Prisma Scienza, and I4DP, that tends to support different aspects of the Italian scientific and industrial environment, addressing some needs depending on the type of sensor and the type of final user. For instance, with the multi-frequency SAR program, we intend to exploit the information retained by SAR sensors having different frequencies. However, we also intend to focus on the L-band SAR. This because we have this partnership with CONAE, but also foreseeing the new mission, new Sentinel mission that will be based on band L. So the scopus of this program is to develop new techniques, new algorithms, and new products that are based on SAR data and are in a preoperative level, so they already have demonstrated to be effectively implemented. The idea is to, on one side, to support the Italian public research and the industry, and to empower the scale on processing SAR data, but also on the other end, to analyze the state of the art of the Italian SAR community in order to define the long-term strategy of the Italian Space Agency in the field of new Earth observation application. About the project that we received, we focus on some main topics, basically that are of interest for the Italian country, particularly agriculture, urban areas, cryosphere, marine and coastal areas, and natural hazard. Similarly, the Prisma Scienza program tends to exploit the data produced by Prisma satellite. So the idea is to support and to receive application that exploit new techniques, methods, and algorithms for the exploitation of hyperspectral data, particularly in combination with other Earth observation mission. These have a double intent. One side is to develop the know-how of the Italian EO environment, and on the other end, to start sharing the knowledge and the usefulness of the hyperspectral data, especially involved in the used in new Earth observation advanced product. So in this case, we have several new applications that span from agriculture, identification of raw materials, analysis of the inland and coastal water, but also air quality, or in particular natural disaster detection, but also the assessment of cultural heritage. From analysis of the project that we received, we are proud that our institution and SMEs proposed very interesting and very advanced solutions based on the leading edge technologies that are now used in this field, from artificial intelligence up to spectral mixing. It is also interesting to see that based on these two programs, well, it is clear that most of the projects have been presented by university and research center, but it's also interesting to see that the participation of SMEs and startups is increasing, and this leads to our last important program that is called I4DP, Innovation for Downstream Preparation. That is a program that is structured in order to address 3 different market needs, from public administration to market to science. The idea is to have projects that are based on space data, not only Earth observation, but also sat navigation and sat communication. But it also encouraged the synergistic use of other edge technologies such as artificial intelligence, data analytics, and so on. It also is important to say that it is a program that is based on a user-driven approach, and going in deep, we can see that it's structured in 3 different ways according to the 3 different market that it's going to address. For instance, in the public administration, there will be periodic publication of thematic goals every 4 or 6 months that tends to be addressed to large enterprises, SMEs, and as well university and research centers. In this case, we would like to have a direct involvement of public administration, and obviously the main topics are those that are of interest for the public administration, from the environmental preservation to the cultural and landscape heritage, emergency, pollution, not only land and water, but also the quality of the air, and monitoring of infrastructure, and also natural disaster and hazard monitoring. As for the
close in
yes, just the last 2 slides. These 2 slides. As for the science program, we are focused on innovative services that did not reach the highest level of TRL level, but are at least TRL of 4. And then for the market, we are focusing on operative or pre-operative products. And in this case, we are encouraging the participation to this program to startups and scale-ups. So going to the conclusion, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Giorgio. There are a lot of material, for us, and I think that with Lorenzo, we need to spend some time just to wrap up, maybe in the next day. Now is my great pleasure to give the floor to Tim and to the 9 startup. Tim, you are able to introduce everybody there?
Hey, Nicola, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Wow, what a lot of information and content. I think we all need a bit of a stretch after all that. That was amazing. Thank you. So many incredible areas of congruence between our 2 ecosystems. So thank you for all those presentations. Quick call out. I'm checking to see if one of our companies from Italy, Cosmic Water Leaks, has a representative. We were looking for Riccardo. We haven't seen him. And if he's not here, then we're going to have...
Here I am in representation of Cosmic. Good morning, good evening to everyone. I'm Enrico, and I'm in representation of Cosmics today in place of Riccardo.
Beautiful, terrific. Hello, great to see you. So Enrico, that's great to have you. So we're going to do a quite high energy session. I'm going to put up a quick slide just to show you how we're going to organize this, given that we have 9 teams. So I'll just do my thing, share my slide. Essentially, we've got our 9 teams. We're going to do roughly 4 minutes presentation per team to give us some time to have a conversation at the end. That should allow us, with the 9 teams, to get through less than an hour, about 40 minutes, hopefully, give or take. Each of you have, as per our preparation, 2 to 3 minutes on your capability, 1 to 2 minutes on your idea of collaboration. Try to compress that down to 4 minutes, extra points for 3 minutes. And then I'm going to ask a few questions to the whole panel. and I'll be picking out folks to reply. And then also, I'm keen that you get a chance to ask questions of your colleagues. And of course, we do have a few people from various space agencies here, so we can always see if we can ambush them as startups do, see if we can get some answers to questions that we might have. I'm particularly interested in things that are blocking us in our growth, in our market discovery, in our innovation, and also opportunities for us to bring together our superpowers, to work together as Enrico Palermo, our space agency head, beautifully said, collaboration in space for people, planet, and prosperity, and runway, for our businesses. So hopefully that all makes sense. I'm going to stop sharing. And we're also going to do this in a slightly different sequence to the published sequence, just because I think since we only have 9, I think it makes sense. So I'm going to put this into the chat and everyone will be able to see the updated list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Cristoforo, don't hate me. I've given you the last word. I hope that's okay. So in the chat, you should be able to see, we're going to start off with AI Craft, then Enrico from Cosmic Water Leafs, then Lula, Sebastian, Latitudo 40, Gaetano, Regrow Ag, Marie, who's actually in Europe. Hi, Marie. Nazca, Paolo, Mio from Stefanos, Spiral Blue from Taufik, and Planetech from Cristoforo. Okay, so that's our setup. We're about 15 minutes into our time block, so we're already under the pump. Tony, when you're ready, please take it away.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Good evening and good morning to everyone that is on the line today. It's a pleasure to speak. I'll just load up my presentation, so it should appear in a few seconds, and I'll put it in full screen mode. So just bear with me. So I'll assume that is it loading now? Visible? Okay, great.
All good.
Look, our company is really focusing on artificial intelligence at the edge and really bringing a lot of innovation to get this next level of performance and efficiency. So we are really focusing on hardware acceleration techniques tailored to particular hardware architectures. So this is, for instance, if you want, so it's software based. And it can be uploaded obviously when you have satellites already in orbit, but you want those new techniques that can accelerate what you're doing over there. The next activities we're doing is actually developing some new microelectronics to build software-defined systems with advanced capability. This is especially needed when you try to have those efficiency and performance, and you want your system to do more online and faster, have more control about what your hardware is doing. So moving on to the next slide, really our core value proposition around this edge computing can be formulated in the 4 sections there. First, it's to enable the real-time onboard analysis, where currently it's not possible. Simply because the architecture is not right, simply because artificial intelligence requires a very particular type of processing. And what can be done, especially on the smaller satellite, is that you need to have a separate system and then transfer the data there. Usually those secondary systems are very high power consumption. And therefore, there's a lot of loss in the system. They can't be on all the time. So what we're offering is actually to turn that around and reconfiguring things, doing things faster. And then, as we know, time is money. So you get the results on orbit and you can downstream that. Now, with this, the second point is about advanced power management, because, again, you need to have that that efficiency there that connects really the software and the hardware in a much better way. And the main purpose is to really extend the operational time of those systems. At the moment, a lot of people are facing the I guess, the dilemma whether to turn off their system or then to add more batteries on their satellite because they need to power those systems. So that's where we are trying to help. And of course, adding more batteries means you can't have the sensors that you really want to have on there. And then you pay extra for just sending those batteries essentially on orbit. And then because we are controlling sort of the power level a lot better, you know, we started investigating some advanced signal modulation, especially for resilience of communication in difficult atmospheric conditions. And also the other point is to bring a scalable solution where if you need more power, more processing power, we can scale this up and customize parts. I mean, for the work that we've done, you know, we're offering, you know, about 30% of power efficiency for the same level of processing. So these are the kind of numbers that we're looking at. And on the side there, on the right side, I'm showing at the moment the camera on top there is our version for drones, really light. Again, just about a couple of watts there, and we're working on the version for Earth observation, and then some of the integrated circuit for the power management, and that can all fit in terms of in communication systems, either on board or on the ground. And just quickly finishing, I guess in terms of collaboration, we're really looking for either customers that can really use some of those techniques or some of the hardware that we're developing, or they're partnering with people, for instance, in terms of new camera systems, if they want this more advanced processing to do more with less. So I guess that's my final thoughts. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. That was great. Great to see small satellite edge computing in space. Very cool. Enrico from Cosmic Water Leaks.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Here I am to present you what we do as a really small Italian startup that begins in February of 2020. So we just started with our projects. I'm going to share my screen.
We can see that fine, Enrico.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We, as Cosmics, we developed two systems for water leaks pre-localizations, one based on satellite images and one based on the analysis of cosmic radiations. So water losses is a problem that affects the entire world. Approximately the 30% of water resources withdrawn from the environment is lost along the distribution network due to leaks. Keep in mind that water leaks are not only a waste of water, but also a waste of energy and other resources needed to treat and pump the water. The classic leak systems is made by two operators who, by means of special electroacoustic instrumentation, meter by meter, carry out the noise measurement in search of the typical noise of a leak. Our R&D department has developed two complementary systems for the pre-localization of water losses, one based on the analysis of satellite images and one based on the analysis of spatial radiations. High-resolution L-band SAR images are used to highlight soil moisture from satellites such as ELOS and SAOCOM. Pre-localization of losses through images starts from the identification of the area. Since part of the areas with high urbanization are not reached by satellite waves due to phenomena of canyoning and shadowing. At this point, the shapefile of the water network is superimposed on the satellite image, and to limit false positives, the algorithm is applied to a band of about 20 meters. And at this point, the operators do not have to pass meter by meter the network, but can go directly to the points generated by the processing, with a considerable saving on time and resources. The system based on the analysis of spatial radiation is complementary in that is able to reach those areas with phenomena of canyoning. This system analyzes the interaction between neutrons and hydrogen containing water. In fact, hydrogen has an absorbing effects on neutrons. The instruments uses a multi-constellation satellite tracking system that prefer the constellation of Galileo and use interpolation with GPS or GLONASS in case of weak signal. Both the pre-localization system generate easy to understand georeferential maps that direct the operators directly to the points of investigation, making field operation faster and safer. Our team is made by experticians, and we developed every part of the instrumentation or every part of the analysis inside of our teams, and we even can give the full service to our customers with field teams for identification for water leaks. In more or less 1 year of activity, we check 50,000 kilometers in the national network, and now we are trying to externalization our products.
Thank you so much, Enrico. That looks like magic. That's amazing. I'm fascinated to dig deeper into how you're using neutrinos to trap water leaks. Thank you for that. Really incredible presentation. Grazie.
Thank you.
I'm sure this is also triggering interesting questions from our other startups and possibilities for collaboration, given that Australia is the driest continent and we probably don't know most of where our water is. So really cool. Next presenter is Alula. Sebastian, take it away when you're ready.
Hi guys, my name's Sebastian. I'll just quickly share screen now. My name is Sebastian. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Alula, a streaming platform for satellite data. Now, the reason why this is important is because there's one really big problem in the Earth observation industry today, and that is that satellite imagery is fundamentally very difficult to access. Now, there's a few reasons for this, but there are a lot of different players all around the world launching new EO satellites every day or every month. And it's very timely to access the data and the archive data that these satellites are producing. Traditionally, it's been quite expensive, mainly due to the high minimum order quantities to access this imagery. And there are a lot of legal and business barriers that make accessing satellite imagery not scalable. And so that means if you're creating an application or some kind of service or workflow with satellite data, it can be incredibly difficult to access the data you need. At Alula, what we've done is we've created a platform that aggregates different satellite imagery from different satellite operators. We standardize it, and then we distribute it via an API so application developers can easily start to stream satellite imagery at scale. We have customers that take satellite imagery from multiple areas of interest all around the world, up to thousands in some cases, and then stream it through the API into their web apps. We also offer another service, and this is data management as a service for satellite operators. Now, what this entails is when a satellite operator launches a new satellite, we can actually store, collect, catalog, index, pre-process, and then distribute that data on behalf of the satellite operator as a white label service. So that means it takes the headache away from the satellite operator when they're trying to focus on getting the satellite up and getting customers. And they no longer have to email, 20 gigabyte files to clients. They can do it in a rather effective and streamlined way. It also allows their customers to have a fundamentally better user experience than traditionally would happen. Currently, we're working with the CSIRO in Australia. We're also working with the SmartSat CRC on different projects. And we'd like to collaborate with Italian companies and the Italian Space Agency as well to see how we could apply our technology and products to meet your services and I guess solve some problems for you or help you enter the Australian market as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. You've got the record. You managed to pull that off in 3 minutes flat. Well done. Getting us some more time for our conversation that's coming up. So now I have the great pleasure of inviting Gaetano from Latitudo 40 to present to our session. Hi, Gaetano.
Hey, hello. I try to share my screen. Just a moment. Okay. So happy to be here. Good morning, good afternoon for Australian people. I am CEO of Latitudo 40. We are offering to the market a urban data analytics platform to support climate action planning based on satellite imagery and artificial intelligence. It's clear that we move in the problem of climate change. So we try to give a solution to the climate change and how to find the right data to plan the climate transition. This is complex because it's always difficult for people to find the right data to take the right decision. For this reason, we created the urban data analytics platform that is based on 3 pillars: satellite imagery, artificial intelligence, and geospatial analysis. And using these 3 pillars, it's possible to create in a very simple way climate action plan and offer a solution to deliver a better quality of life for citizens at worldwide. Our platform is very simple to use. We can aggregate data from Copernicus, but also we are working now also on Prisma, but also we have connection with the very high resolution satellite constellation, so commercial constellation. For this reason, we have interest to engage activities and cooperation with Erlula, but we integrate also data from IoT sensors, so open data and other source of data. Our data source is capable to fuse all this information and find the right information with our proprietary artificial intelligence algorithm and to create dashboard for climate change, portal for citizens or for ESG climate report. And now we are also working on a carbon sequestration marketplace for city and for forestry. So fully automated urban sustainability that help organization to transform environmental social goal into actions. Here you can see some of algorithms that we can identify. So from urban islands, landfill detection, displacement and runoff, but also the CO2 capture map, coastline erosion, and we are also working on a high resolution land use, land cover map. We are on market. We have a couple of examples. One is Ayuntamiento de Barcelona. We are working with this city to identify and try to solve the problem of urban islands with nature-based solution. The other side, we're working with company in the real estate to identify the habitat quality and that support the better definition of price of the companies. So this is very quickly our solution. We're just our team. We have a team of 4 founders with a lot of experience in space and mission critical software. And we are very happy to explore any kind of collaboration. Also with Marie of Reworks, that it's really complementary with our solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gaetano. Very crisp. And exciting to see you tackling that challenge. We have that exact same problem in Australia, urban heat islands and heat explosion. Marie, fantastic to have you today. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Hi, everyone.
Fantastic.
Pleasure to be here. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So Regrow, we started as a very small Australian team and now we grew to 80 people team. So I'm based in France, actually. So I have quite a good vision of the difference between Australian market and the European market. And so what we do is we transform big data in agriculture, such as satellite imagery, so Sentinel-2, and then Landsat and Planet data, into metrics that agronomists, food processors, and the agricultural supply chain can use to monitor production in agronomy, so to help make decisions in monitoring the crop and managing the crop, as well as in the sustainability space, so how to enter especially the carbon markets, and for growers to be incentivized for the carbon sequestration that they manage to sequester. So in very short, this is a bit of the magic that we are implementing, is using satellite imagery to automatically track and monitor fields management practices. You cannot imagine the amount of data that you can automatically detect using a satellite in agriculture. To do that at a very scalable way worldwide, and to translate that into carbon credits using agronomic models. So we are a team of agronomists and scientists that are pulling together the force of satellite observations and weather data and agronomic models to simplify this access to carbon markets. And it's a very high growing space and market at the moment, especially in Australia, in Europe as well. I'm very keen to explore opportunities, for example, with Latitudo 40 that mentioned they're creating carbon marketplace, as well as Cosmic Water, know more about what they could do for agriculture and leaks in the fields. This is a massive issue that we encounter in the fields.
Excellent stuff. Marie, I'm going to slip you €5 later, because I'm going to be getting each of the teams to have a little think about what are the other companies that they could collaborate with. Thank you for doing that. I really enjoyed your presentation. So now we'd like to invite Paolo from NASCA. Paolo, you there? Can you hear us?
Hi, team. I'm Alessandro. I'm taking the floor from Paolo Mazzanti, who unfortunately could not attend the workshop, so apologize for that. I will introduce NASCA technologies. Okay.
Great.
Let's share my screen. Okay. So just a few words on who we are. NASCA is a services and consulting firm, and is an international leader on analysis and monitoring solution for the management and control of natural hazards for land and infrastructures. It is a startup of the University of Rome Sapienza. We were incubated in ESA, the European Space Agency Business Incubation Center, at the beginning of our story. We also have a constant investment in research and innovation, also thanks to the cooperation with the university itself and the other academies. We're an integrated staff team of about 30 qualified people. We have geologists, engineers, and researchers and academics. And our philosophy is translating data into information for making Earth observation actionable and easy to use for end users, and for penetrating the market and further disseminating the Earth observation culture. So just a few examples of how we do it. For example, we are the optional partner of Generali Global Corporate and Commission for Geohazard Assessment Program. The objective is to leverage the Earth observation data for enhancing the existing capability of underwriting, risk engineering, and loss prevention, and also claim management purposes. Another successful example, in my opinion, is the SmartGAM project. SmartGAM stands for Smart Geotechnical Asset Management. It is an ESA business application program. It is an innovative approach for the analysis of the geotechnical asset analysis and predictive maintenance for risk reduction. It is addressed to asset owners and managers, especially managers of a network of linear infrastructures. It is based on the advanced integration of Earth observation data, but also ground segment information and geohazard databases. And the philosophy of the service may be summarized in from hazard to actionable management solution. So in our opinion, it is very important for space startup to address the innovation on data integration and data fusion, also powered by the artificial intelligence and machine learning innovations. for the automation, and also for providing reliable information addressed to specific needs by taking into account different data, different processing approach, but also making them easy or even better transparent to the end users, just giving them straightforward tools to improve the efficiency in their fields. Regarding the possibility of cooperation, I believe that there are a lot of opportunities. Some of them have been already illustrated from who preceded me. For example, the I4DP program from ASI, but also the business application from MISA, which SmartGAM is an example, or Incubed Plus from MISA again, that are programs addressed to actionable services and solutions ready to go to market. So I really believe that for SMEs, they are very important opportunity also for collaboration.
Thank you, Alessandro. Very interesting. And you have some big hazards like bushfires, as well as floods and so forth in Italy, as like Australia does. Am I correct? As well as earthquakes and volcanoes?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there are a lot of geohazards in Italy, but not only in Italy, to address by Earth observation, but also with data integration with the ground segment, and also a lot of data from databases with different weights and reliability that cannot be ignored. They must be taken into consideration for providing reliable information together with Earth observation data. This is our philosophy.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. Great to have you. So we're going to keep trucking along. Thanks everybody for keeping the energy level high and the focus. This is great. Stefano from Mio.
Hi everyone.
Are you ready to go?
Yes, I
Fantastic.
should have already started sharing my screen.
Yes. Beautiful.
I will start short introducing our entity. It's a group of two companies. One is named Mio. Mio stands for Meteorological and Environmental Earth Observation. And Mio was founded already more than 15 years ago in Italy. And then in 2009, we decided to spin off the R&D activities, and we opened Sistema in Vienna. Overall, we are 25 people. We have a turnover around 3 million. It's growing continuously. And one of our main strengths is our international team. So we have people working for us for more than 10 countries overall. So we speak quite a lot of languages, and in some cases, it's a good advantage. We have a good network of corporations with, again, quite global entities. And let's say our main scope is we started with R&D, and now we are providing quite a large set of operational services, mainly, I would say, in exploitation of satellite data in connection with climate change and other things. So for us, the time dimension is probably the most important one when we talk about environmental issues. And for this, our core technology is named ADAM. ADAM implements the concept of, let's say, a digital Earth in terms of representation of the system in bit and bytes, and then translate this into actionable information. ADAM is currently a geospatial data management platform, and is currently connected to a large set of different data sources. Satellite data is the main source, but also a lot of Copernicus services, like the Council for Atmospheric Monitoring, C3S for climate change. We have more than 40 petabytes of data connected. I say connected because we're not concentrating, aggregating the data into a single place, but we access the data wherever they are. So we are connected to remote data sources. In Europe, we have the DIAS that have this capability of plugging stuff and providing data. And so we don't really need to move the data into a single position. We just access data wherever they are. Same for AWS or the ESA facilities. ADAM has different interfaces. One is, let's say, we have a web application that is also a mobile, there's also a mobile version for visualizing and in some way also accessing the data. But we have also some development environment, some, I would say, way of from third parties to access to our platform. Through a Jupyter Notebook, through APIs, we have also plugin for QGIS. Adam can be seen as a, I would say, enabling technology. So we are supporting interdisciplinarity and the use of multiple data in different domains. For each of the icons that you see on the screen now, we have either a third party that is developing an application using Adam as a backend, or we have developed a vertical application that focuses on that specific subject. I provide you very few examples out of that. As I say, the time for us is fundamental, so we access the data as soon as they are available. And these are two examples of Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-5P data over the eruption that was occurring in the last weeks in Tonga, moving things and SO2 concentration also over the Australian territory. This is an image of the 17th. If you look at the image of today, there is almost nothing. Then we have applications specific for agriculture. Having access to all the data, we have the possibility of, to access, for instance, to time series of Landsat and Sentinel-2 data, but we have also exploited the capabilities of Prisma in a prototype product that we are developing with the University of Ferrara to estimate soil organic carbon. But also using climate data, we can access, we can create historical analysis and identify trends in water availability or water stress. Finally, we have, let's say, a strong cooperation with the World Bank in the use of climate data for assessing changes in climate regimes, identifying anomalies, and identifying threats, focused on the use of long-term climate series. How we could collaborate? Well, to be honest, I have seen a very strong push in that access, especially from some of our partners. And so it would be nice to talk to Sebastian for sure, but also in the thematic part, agriculture and wildfires monitoring, that I think that could be good subjects for cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefano. That's very impressive.
Oh, sorry. This is the Adams family if you want to join the Adams family.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you for that very comprehensive presentation, 40 petabytes plus. So now we're going to get a presentation, second last presentation, Taufik from Spiral Blue. And just a reminder, if you're not speaking, please do mute your sound so that we can concentrate on our speaker. Taufik, we can see your slide.
Good morning / good evening. My name is Taufik from Spiral Blue. Our focus is what we call space edge computing, and using this new technology that's only just started to be introduced to Earth observation to really develop the next generation of Earth observation satellites and the resulting Earth observation services. Many of you will be aware that in Earth observation satellites, there's a big problem that there's not enough downlink for the actual images that are being collected. So a common case study that I like to give, and I can't mention the satellite because, you know, people that are involved with the satellite may be in the call, but it's only able to bring down approximately 5% of the total land that it can actually fly over on a daily basis. So of the about 6 million square kilometers per day that satellite flies over, it can only bring down about 300,000 square kilometers. So 95% of that data is actually being lost. Now, we believe that if we can actually do some of the processing that needs to happen on this data anyway on the ground, if we can do some of that processing on the satellite, do some of the pre-processing, maybe analyze it further, crop the images, take out clouds, and then do additional vertical focus things such as ship detection, forest segmentation, or other processing types, we can actually expand the capacity of these satellites by being able to be much more efficient with the downlink, by bringing down information rather than raw data. What this means is, for example, if we're able to crop images, geolocate images on board and then crop them, we can actually reduce minimum order quantities from maybe thousands of dollars for 100 or 200 square kilometers to then even to the hectare level, which is a real game changer for developing nations and other just small farms in general, which currently today cannot really access high resolution Earth observation data. And of course, we have examples such as we've done a project in ship detection, where if we're trying to get this proven in space currently, but if we're able to actually prove it out, we can actually show, detection of ships on board the satellite, and then rather than having to bring down the raw images, we can actually bring down just the detections, so that we have a map of where even dark vessels are, which currently cannot be picked up in many cases. So we are actually in a position where we're sort of stuck between TRL 6 and TRL 7, which in the space community means it kind of works but doesn't quite work. We've had 3 satellites launched so far carrying our hardware, and we're still working with the companies that launch the satellites to try to get them working, and we have more launches coming up next year as well. So we're expecting to bring space edge computing to TRL 7 by the end of the year, and so interested to, of course, talk with anyone that is interested to find out, what bringing down information rather than raw data could do for their business, or even reducing minimum order quantities massively could do. Or, of course, we are noting that there is now a lot of demand for building Earth observation satellites in Australia and, of course, internationally. We're interested to speak with anyone that believes that their satellite that they are planning could benefit from space edge computing. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to the questions.
Thank you, Taufik. That was great, and looking forward to having more news from your flight missions. You've definitely been amazing at getting into space faster than anyone, and looking forward to all the learnings that I know you're going through. So last but not least, delighted to get Cristoforo, who's already put his slides up. Take it away.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invitation. I'm Cristoforo Battista from Planetech, and I'm the head of the Space Stream Business Unit. Well, we are a startup of 28 years old. We are based in the south of Italy and also in Greece. As a curiosity, we founded in 2007 NearMap, which is an Australian company. And some years ago, we sold also, and I suppose you know it. And moreover, we have participated, and we are participating in all the Italian Space Agency missions, satellite mission that we mentioned this morning, from Cosmos Skyme and further second generation, Prisma, and also Platino next mission for the payload, data ground segment, and mission control. We developed software from the upstream, from the downstream to the midstream to the upstream. So we have a lot of solutions that I am not going to show, but I would concentrate this presentation around 2 possible programs and the fields of collaboration that are AI Express and Reticus. These are 2 important programs and important and operational services that we are currently running and delivering. And I also identify some interesting companies in this workshop with which we can collaborate around these 2 programs. I have to say that if also Arlula is after the presentation is interesting for collaboration. So iExpress is a running program that we are developing together with the Orbit and other 2 companies, and we are developing a space ecosystem as a service. It means that we are developing onboard computer, onboard software, and also a marketplace for developing App Store. Thanks to this, we can upload every time a new app on board of AI Express, even based on artificial intelligence, let's say neural network and machine learning, so that we can change the operational concept of the mission according to the needs of the customer. And as Taufik was saying, we can processing data directly on board so that we can extract information directly on board, and eventually we can discard all the data that are not useful. So how we can collaborate? We are developing an open ecosystem so that we can integrate our box on board of your satellite, or we can embed your technologies on board of our satellite. And when I say technology, I say sensors, memory, radios, computers, so that we can use on board of our satellite the technologies developed by other partners. And at the same time, you can also develop an application to be put inside the App Store, or you can use directly the application for managing data coming from AI Express. And doing this, we are able to transform the stakeholder also into shareholders, because all the transactions are managed by means of blockchain, and it means that all the revenue stream can be shared among the partner, putting their technologies inside of the ecosystem. For this program, that is a running program, we have the maiden flight on the first quarter of 2023, and so there is still room for integration of technology both on board and on ground. Nevertheless, we are going to develop this constellation, so we are going to have a launch every 3 months, so we can even exploit the further launches. Reticus instead, Reticus is the only pupil of Copernicus, and so we try to exploit the capabilities of Copernicus satellite by means of our Reticus GeoPortal. In Reticus, we transform Earth observation data into analytics that could be integrated deeply into the business workflow of our customers. So it is an operational portal. We sell analytics by subscription means to institutional organization or private organization. Some example, we are delivering a Reticus Wildfire, which is a tool for the assessment and monitoring of burnt area, so that using Earth observation data, we can provide a report, so not only a map, but a report that is useful for the organization to identify what is the situation in their burnt area after a certain period. And this can be done by subscription, so month by month, 3 months by 3 months, and so on. At the same time, we are also selling, for example, a Reticus Aquaculture, which is a tool to understand when it is most useful to harvest mussels or fish. And in this time again, we only deliver a report to our customer, not maps. Other services that are present or on Reticus are those related to the water pipeline monitoring or sewage pipeline monitoring for predictive maintenance. By exploiting satellite SAR data, we are able to understand if there is something strange happening on the pipeline, so that maybe it is very useful to do some predictive maintenance for the pipeline. And the same concept can be also applied to roads, safeway, infrastructure, and bridge, or and so on, as you can say. Finally, we have also developed a project for the European Commission for the monitoring of the old coastal zones in Europe. And in that case, we are able not only to classify what is happening around the coast in Europe, but even to understand if the events of erosion are important or not for a certain part. Well, I think that there is room for collaboration around these two big programs from Planetech. Thank you.
Grazie, Cristoforo. Thank you, everyone, so much for all your presentations. Well done. I think our audience, still around 80 people, would be thrilled to find that there are so many cutting-edge companies in both our ecosystems. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to have a bit of a conversation. I'd like to ask a few questions. I'm going to start up in the sky. I'm going to start upstream because I'm very intrigued by some of the early presentations of the incredible breadth of the ASI missions. Tony or Taufik, Australian upstream companies, alongside Cristoforo and your AIX space ecosystem, I thought it'd be interesting to see what was, from what that presentation presented at the beginning, showing the breadth of all the missions. And in particular, I was intrigued by the mission that Patrizia spoke about, Platino, as an opportunity to, experiment. Was there anything that jumped out for you? Maybe Tony, you could lead us off.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, my first observation was that the satellites are pretty big. And obviously because they carry a lot of instruments, and what I'll be interested in is where can we help to actually fast track the processing or reduce the size of the satellites to do the same job. So I think it's it'll be interesting to know, and even now, like I said, that there are new techniques that can be applied to existing hardware system that could potentially be uploaded on the satellite to again fast track some of these analytics on board. But yeah, I think as much as we want to explore the planet and try to do more processing on board, we need to be more conscious about how to utilize the resources better. We can't just keep adding and adding to get the results we want. So that was sort of my take there.
Thank you for that. I'm going to throw up a real quick slide. This is the set of Australian Space Agency Earth observation roadmap priorities. And it struck me that the very first one here, Australian EO missions and payloads, as well as these last two, international EO partnership and leadership, access to data and missions, these are all relevant. And we've definitely been having a conversation in Australia about the power of small satellites. I encourage you to check that out. Taufik, what was the thing that you most resonated for you in the presentation that Patrizia and I think it was Fabrizio gave at the beginning as well? Huge program, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with, I guess, just the capabilities of the Prisma satellite and some of the other satellites that ASI is operating. I'm really keen to, I'm not sure if the data is available openly just yet, but it would actually be really interesting to see how we can combine this data with other high resolution images, or even if there's ways to super resolution down the hyperspectral data to that 5 meter GSD pan. So that's actually going to be a potential game changer in EO. Really excited to see how that happens. Of course, we're keen to support any future missions to make a single satellite do the work of 20 today. But we've obviously got a long way to go before we're ready to really supply a space agency. Starting with smaller customers first, I think, but hopefully we'll get there sooner or later.
Yeah. So.
If I can add something, I don't know if it was mentioned that the Prisma program is completely open to all the companies around the world, or also the institutions, so that you, Earth observation companies, you can also task the satellite, and of course, in relation of the opportunities of sensing, you will have your data where you want, coming from directly Prisma, so that you can also apply your algorithm, you can test your technologies, and so on. Another thing that I want to add is about Platino, that has two important characteristics. The first one for Platino 1 is the capability of acting as epistatic satellite data. It means that it will sense the radar echo coming from another satellite, actually Cosmos satellite. So it is a technology development, and this will be done in the first phase of the life of Platino. Another important thing is about Platino 2. For the first time, we will have an institutional satellite that will provide the capability to process data directly on board. It was written somewhere in the presentation, maybe from Patrizia, the early warning capability of Platino. We are going to use some payloads, telecommunication and also observation payload, to acquire data and to transmit to the Earth directly information extracted from that data. And it's for the first time for an institutional mission.
And Tim, if I can say something, Platino is led by our company, CTEL. So CTEL is also has an office and a team in Adelaide. So in particular for Tony and Tafik, maybe you can organize some meeting with CTEL and try to explore in which way we can collaborate. And you know, Platino is exactly what Tony, you are looking for. So is a small satellite. So the big challenge for Platino is integrate in low scale, you know, the optical and SAR and so that is a quite new approach that are very keen from Australian side, you know, to explore with Italy in which way we can be involved in this game.
Yeah, if I can add just a quick comment, that's really of interest to us, all the sensor fusion, but the sensor fusion in terms of having a sort of universal AI model that could treat, you know, the data uniformly. This means that you have already a smaller footprint. And also with our edge devices, we try to already filter the data at the edge so that you've got less to process. So there's a whole pipeline in terms of, you know, moving the processing sort of at the front end, really where the data is collected. Then you don't want to add, sort of, you try to keep the power consumption really low and then enable other things to be done. But it takes a sort of a bit more of an open architecture, knowing sort of how the sensors are collecting the data so it's not actually segmented, but done more in a uniform manner. So this is the type of architecture that you know, we are looking at. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room for collaboration there in terms of yeah, what's in the plan.
Well, I think it would be fair to say that Australian companies want to emulate Taufik and get flight heritage, and so we're very keen to be working with you and maybe learning from Italian companies with more flight heritage. And certainly the AIX opportunity looks exciting, reprogrammable, resettable spacecraft. I think another area we're also interested in is definitely things like standards. So coming down from space a little bit closer to the ground, I'm very interested in also, Marie, your thoughts on some of the companies that you've seen, Marie from Regrow and Alula from Sebastian from Alula. What are some of the things that you know, jumped out for you guys? Marie, like to go first?
Thank you. Thanks, team. Look, I think I would be actually, as I said, keen to continue conversation with Latitudo 40 to know a little bit more about what their carbon marketplace is. And also, I had a question for Stefano around from Mio, around how do you measure soil organic carbon with your satellite, and what is the resolution of measuring this soil organic carbon?
Great question.
Who starts? Well, I can tell you what we're doing. First of all, it's experimental, let's say, product that we are still, I would say, working on. It's basically based on neural network application. So we take ground measurements from the university. They do a lot of samplings all over the region in which we are working, and we take Prisma data. We did a first reduction of the bands that can be used, and then we have developed a couple of models to make the correlation. But currently, I would say it's experimental. We are not doing any physical inversion or anything like that. We have entered other layers. We have entered the layer for St. Marcy. We have entered the layer for vegetation in order to mask out some of the points in which we had troubles when we made the first inversion. What else we are using as additional layer? Most of these layers are taken anyway from satellite. I'm thinking because I'm not following directly the project, but we had a workshop. Not that I can send you some of. We prepared an abstract for a couple of conferences. I can send it to you so you can see a bit more details about what we're doing.
It would be great. And also, Stefano, we, in a similar way to you, we are looking to have more data sets of soil organic carbon in Europe or in Australia to calibrate not satellite imagery, but to calibrate our agronomic models. So maybe it's similar databases that we could use both.
That we use two different data sets. One is from the region. The region made a mapping in, I think, 2015, and another one more recently. That's a 500 meter resolution. Then I get back to the issue with the resolution. And then instead, the samplings that are taken by the university are really points that I think they can share with no problem. Currently, our product is aggregated at 100 meter. But of course, Prisma has 30 meter resolution. So in principle, we would like to go down to the original resolution of the satellite. But in many cases, it's hard to do that because of the different resolution of the data set that we're using.
Thank you, Stefano. Thanks, Marie. Seb, did you have any response you want to give, or any things you want to call out that you're interested in? And great invitation there from Christoforo from Planetech. And I get to say you're on mute. Haha. First one.
Yeah, no, the presentations are all really, really interesting, actually. And I think Latitudo 40 and Planetech definitely stuck out to me as potential collaboration partners. You know, at Alula, we always look at seeing how we could support companies building scalable Earth observation applications, or applications that rely on Earth observation data at scale. And I guess, you know, potential questions from to Planetech and Latitudo 40, if you are able to answer, is I think both of you mentioned you work with fairly high resolution satellite imagery providers already. And it would be really interesting to know, I guess, your experience working with them and how you found it so far.
Yeah, I can answer you, Sebastian. We are we have an agreement. We developed the specific API for each catalog. So this means that every time that we need to add a new constellation, we need to spend a lot of time to reintegrate the API.
Yeah.
So a solution like you that can intermediate the solution. We have some, for example, with Planet, we integrated also the API, the standard tasking. So the tasking that don't need to be the task that does not require a feasibility study, so typically is a square. The same with Pleiades, with Airbus, and now we are working with Satellogic, and we integrated also a Capella Space API.
Yeah. Okay.
But each time we need to integrate a new study API, modify the code. So to have a single source of information would be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree totally with what Gaetano is saying. Nevertheless, I want to add that, for example, Planetech has agreements with, we can say, all the satellite data providers from Europe, from USA, from China, and so on. This is because we think that it is not the satellite data are not important for our customer. For our customer, what is important is the application. So Reticus, that is our selling portal, is agnostic about data, in the sense that we are concentrated in delivering solution. But to do that, we need a lot of satellite data and a lot of commercial agreements. So it is true what Gaetano was saying, that we need to modify the interface toward these data providers, and so a solution like yours could be very interesting, and it is very interesting. Nevertheless, there is the problem of commercial agreement that could be some way a problem. Yeah. so try to solve this problem also. How to have commercial agreements and technology agreements, let's say. Of course, if you have lower prices, that the agreement will be with you for sure. But I don't think that it could be every time this situation.
Yeah, I guess from our perspective, those are the two things that we really try and focus on is the price. So the reason why we're able to work with a lot of satellite operators, or the reason why lots of satellite operators tend to work with us, is because we reduce the cost of sale for the data, essentially. And that's incredibly important because that means, you know, Maxar or 21AT doesn't need to have a very well-paid business development manager selling copious amounts of data. They can now sell it or sell their data much more affordably through the Alula API. And I guess the second thing is that you touched upon is the EULAs, the end user license agreements. And you're right, that's an incredibly tricky thing in the EO industry, and everyone's got their own flavor. We're actually working with a company called LATConnect 60 in Australia. They're Australia's first satellite imaging company, and we're providing data management services for them and distribution via our API. And we've actually we actually work with them to create a very I would call it maybe potentially modern EULA agreement for the Earth observation industry, a very forward-looking one compared to other suppliers as well, and it's quite a lot more liberal. And so part of our job at Alula has really been to try and standardize the EULA agreement as well. It's a tricky thing. It's taken us many years, but we're sort of slowly edging a bunch of different satellite imaging companies to this one sort of standard EULA. We're not there yet, but it's definitely something that we're working towards at the moment. So I completely understand your pain.
Thank you very much, folks. This is a great conversation. Now I'm just going to do a quick time check. We have about 20 minutes to go. So we're gonna try to make some wrap-up questions. Marie, I really liked your observation or your question about other data sets and data sources. Thank you for that. Thinking about that question, for example, I'd like to just quickly bring in Enrico from Cosmic Water Leaks. Enrico, are you, like Marie, always on the hunt for new data sets that you can use for your solution? Is that data quality an issue? I noticed that as you know, that ASI has promised a lot of higher resolution, better resolution, more hyperspectral frequencies. Is that a constant demand for you? Are you getting what you need today, or actually, you know, is it still bleeding edge?
Well, of course, it's this bleeding edge, and what we use is higher resolution data because, you know, when we pre-localization water leaks in the plants, we have to be more precise than, for example, we cannot use the Sentinel-1 data because, you know, the footprint of Sentinel-1 is more than 20 meters, and so how we can pre-localization with precision water leaks, and then go into the field and then check the leaks and make it even faster and cheaper for our customers. So that's why in the other solutions we use Galileo data, because with Galileo data for the pre-localizations we can give a radius of more or less 3.3 meters at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour with a car. And we need high precision and high resolution data. The more we have the high precision data, the more precise we have in the field localizations. And of course, as the satellite system would not do only the pre-localization for water leaks, we developed even a system for precision farming, but we decided to focus on the water leaks pre-localization because we feel that we have more need of recuperate the water losses and not to waste it, of course. And the system is even applicable to precision farming, of course, because even agriculture transport waters.
Thank you very much for that, Enrico. It's great the way you brought in PNT, position, navigation, and timing into our Earth observation conversation. As Australia, we also have an ambition to get down to 2 centimeter resolution, and we've been using Japanese satellites like the Quasi-Zenith satellite system. And there's a lot of, I think, potential research collaborations. Andy Coronius from SmartSat CRC talked about that before, where maybe some of the services like yours, a hybrid of ground truthing and space, could actually be really powerful. And maybe in Australia, thanks to both our SBAS work and also access to Japanese extremely high resolution satellites, we could do some new cool stuff. within the research context. That sounds very, very cool. I wanted to ask a question more generally now about business, a little bit about the business of Earth observation, maybe in our last 10 minutes. I'd like to kind of hear from everyone, what is your biggest blocker right now? We're at the, as we described at the beginning, we're at a beginning of a new era. We've got new satellites being launched left, right, and center, publicly accessible ones, private ones, a new level of fidelity, precision data. We've got an explosion of problems that we realize we cannot access from the Earth. But are you seeing that in the marketplace? Are your customers still mostly government? How are private buyers responding to your offer in the market? How is it going for you? Gaetano, maybe, I know you're a business guy. How are you finding your strategy? I know you're talking to local councils, but what are the other things you're seeing, the change in demand?
Yeah, it's interesting because we are trying to create a market in this moment, because sometimes in urban sustainability there is a new market. It's a market that is emerging, and we are trying to evangelize the market, so to say that it's possible to change empirical analysis with decision-based model, so the data-based model. So this is art, but customers are reacting very fast, because when you have a problem, the logic of a startup is always really that the product market fit is the first thing. So identify a problem that the customer is ready to pay for, and try to create very fast an MVP and a solution that can solve a problem. So this is our approach. With the same approach, we are moving from the city environment to forestry, to other sectors, always with the experiment. We are a learning company. We try to learn every day from our customers. So this is our approach. The market is just beside the door, and it's a market enough big for all the companies that in this moment are moving in this market.
Grazie. Marie, your company Regro has exploded out of Australia, now in the US, now in Europe. You're seeing, I know, new demand for things like carbon credits and baselining, landscape function and so forth. Are you seeing rapid change in your trading conditions? Maybe we lost you, Marie. I might pass that question on and come back to you. Here you are. Great. You okay, Marie?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully that question made sense.
Yeah. Sorry. May you repeat your question, because there was a lacking connection.
No problem. So this is a question for Marie from Regro, and the question is, how are you seeing the market changing? You're a very fast-growing company. You've grown on that. What are the new kinds of customers that you're seeing? And I think we might have lost Marie. So yeah. I'm gonna go on and sort of put that same question to Alessandro from Nazca. Very interesting infrastructure and insurance play. How are you seeing that evolve? Is it still local government? Is it still state government? Or is it increasingly companies? What's the story?
Yeah, the story. It's a very, very complicated story to present. I agree with Gaetano that told us that the market is changing, that we are now facing with a new market, because if until some years ago to provide data was a challenging opportunity provided only from some very, very skilled companies or staff. Now the availability of data is coming worldwide for everybody, also for free. Let's make an example of the European Ground Motion Service that is coming. This is starting this year, so in a very short time we will have data from insert data for the whole Europe for free, and this obviously must be taken into account for the market. From our point of view, we are going to follow our philosophy to try to provide information from data. So our mission is to provide tools, to provide services, to provide consulting, aiming at responding at the specific needs of clients that are coming to get such amount of data, such different kind of data, but they don't know how to manage them, as also said Cristoforo a few minutes ago. And so this is our solution. We have, for example, we have also just to bring an example, a project that is funded by the Italian Space Agency that is called the MUSER. It is a multi-frequency SAR program. It is based on the integration of multi-sensor, multi-band, different resolution, and different revisit time Earth observation data for the automatic identification and classification of processes, for example, landslides, but also fires, the subsidence processing, and so on, to provide the information and support to who have to plan the land management and also the infrastructure management and asset management.
Terrific. Sebastian, you're also seeing, you've gone sort of in a non-traditional way out onto the internet, advertising directly to your customers, and you know, have you seen a very different sort of customer set to, let's say, the big players?
I think similar to some other people on this chat, we're sort of trying to, I guess, create a market in a way. Really what we see is that there's this new opportunity, I guess, to engage customers that traditionally wouldn't have been able to use satellite data, whether it be cost, whether they didn't know existed, they just thought it was too sort of sci-fi to access sort of the latest imagery, or whatever that may be. And what we found is that there is this engagement. We're really trying to, I guess, focus on creating a community of developers as well. We obviously are still trying to target organizations, but we see that as sort of secondary almost to growing this community and growing this network of API users. And I guess what we're also doing at Alula is looking at creative ways to monetize this, I guess, this platform that we've built as well. And so what we've seen is through the platform that we built and through inspiration from other companies as well, kind of like Synergize, which is another European company that has created the Sentinel Hub through Copernicus. You know, we're exploring different ways to monetize the data and working with satellite operators as well, because they're starting to realize that, hey, if you want to engage this, you know, huge commercial opportunity, which is these millions of developers around the world, how do you package and provide satellite data in a way that is, I guess, commercially useful for them and also still, I guess, profitable for the satellite operator as well. And so we're working with quite a number of satellite operators, I guess, to tend towards this more, you know, almost like AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure business model, where we're trying to get satellite imagery, I guess, sold in much smaller quantities, and it's almost pay per pixel business model, which Alula is sort of pushing, and we can do that by aggregating a lot of data on one side, but then also aggregating a lot of users as well. And this is sort of how we're able to, I guess, work the industry and drive prices lower and still make it profitable for satellite operators as well. So it's sort of like a tricky balancing act where we're playing out, but so far it seems to be working, and you know, we're pretty happy with it. But I think really it is about that market creation as well. We know that there are a lot of applications, and this is really the low-hanging fruit of EO as well. These applications that we're seeing now, this is sort of the first generation. What will we see in 5 years' time? It'll be completely different. And so I think it's really exciting, and I think we need to do more to, I guess, push that and grow that sort of side of the industry.
I can see Cristoforo has his hand up.
Yeah, if I can add something. In our company, our turnover is divided in 50% into parts between private market, for the downstream market, I'm saying, and institutional market. So there is room for selling Earth observation application to private companies. That is the real business. And nevertheless, I want to recall what Andrea Taramelli said this morning, in the sense that in Italy, we are trying to develop a new way of developing Earth observation application where the institutional market plays the role of anchor tenancies. And it means that with this anchor tenancy, the companies learn to build solution, and all the available capacity is then possible to be resold to the private market, and so you go to stimulate the market. It's something like happened for the USA market for the first Earth observation satellite, let's say Maxar satellites in the digital globe, where the defense department acquired the 75% of the images delivered by the satellites. And the similar things we have already done in ESA, European Space Agency, by the DIAS. The DIAS are a cloud platform where you can have all the information coming, or the data coming from Copernicus satellites, and you can also develop solution on top of that. Well, until today, and I think that at least we have 7 years of this DIAS, it is a market sustained by European Space Agency, by its projects. And in the next year, ESA is releasing this anchor tenancy, and I strongly believe that some of the DIAS will continue their operation because they have a role in the production of application, and we as Planetic, I believe MEO and also NADSCA are going to use this infrastructure, and so they become part of the real market and not only sustained market from institution.
Grazie, Cristoforo. Thank you so much for that final word. We're going to wrap up our panel now, but I wanted to thank everybody so much. I would like to invite you to a follow-up conversation where it would be great for us to share all the links and things that we've mentioned in a little bit more detail than time has allowed for today. I do hope those of us in our audience enjoyed the conversation. We tried to just do a thin slice through all of the startups that we have had along today, but thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your thoughts, your intelligence. Nicola, how was that for you? Did we meet the brief?
Absolutely, yes. And I leave, the floor to Lorenzo for the conclusion. But all of you are, startup, private company, and you are linked, connected, working with universities. So the SmartSat CRC has this amazing opportunity. So they are able to funding, joint PhD. So if you think that among you, they can come with some small research activity, so we are able to fund it. This is the first thing that is open my mind here. Then, of course, there is a big work to do, and that is maybe between me and Lorenzo, but identify a sort of or establish a sort of joint working group, and in particular dedicated to the downstream, because I saw a lot of interest. In other words, how we can use data and image of satellites that already exist, and that is like Prisma, like Copernicus, etc., and try to what Cristoforo said, the end user, the private end user, because the future of the business, in Australia as well in Italy and in Europe is the farmer or the fisherman. Is the end user. So that is two things that is. Let me think, and I want to check with Lorenzo. Lorenzo.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Nicola, I completely agree with you. It was a very rich and interesting discussion. I mean, After such an intense morning or evening, I believe that a few words of thanks and very brief considerations are enough to close this interesting symposium. I therefore take the opportunity to thank everyone for the results of this workshop, which represent the first opportunity of collaboration between the Edoardo Amaldi Foundation and the Thomas Space Foundation. And this collaboration, in addition to building a bridge between distant places, also aim to illustrate how future joint actions will be shaped in support of technology transfer, user involvement, and of course support of the entrepreneurial space ecosystem. And today we focused on the Earth observation sector and held several sessions that offered many insights into the disruptive opportunities it offers. In the first part of the day, we explored the visions of those who define the criteria and those who implement them. And I therefore want to thank both Mr. Palermo and Mr. Battazzo for their clear view. And also a big thank to SmartSat and ISPRA research centers for their interesting contribution related to the opportunity of scientific collaboration that you were mentioning now, and all the insights they provide us. During the second part of the event, we discussed the development strategies of the Italian Space Agency and the PRISMA mission, which was conceived for the demonstration and qualification in orbit in order to favor the development of the new Earth observation applications based on spectral light resolution images. I can say that with this contribution, the importance of the impact of PRISMA for new business models and to prove a more sustainable value to the various services, EU services as provided. And as you know, we understood how much is fundamental, which is evident from the experience of the 10 SMEs, let's say startups, but startups and SMEs that took part in the last session, exploring their EU and remote sensing business models. We have verified, also through the experience of the startups involved, how this sector is alive. In fact, commercial EU market in 2021 generated a global turnover of about 3 billion euros, to double in 10 years to 5.5 billion euros, making the market Earth observation applications sector populated by a large pool of value-added services. It's not a tiny share of the global economy, considering that this value is referred just to EU trade market value added services. Let's say not considering public funding to research, as well not considering the economic value coming from meteorological services. I would say that tackling global challenges such like the digital revolution, the climate change, the development of a society that does not replicate its dysfunctions in the digital world, starting from with the gender disparities and a bad approach to environment, managing a much more complex global economy. All this means relying on innovative solutions to address the big data paradigm, respond to and mitigate natural disasters. In this panorama, EU will play a fundamental role, as our guest today demonstrated. However, it is necessary to continue to work, as Andrea Taramelli from ISPRA reminded us, on solutions with high value and to support those paths by changing the traditional approach, facing new challenges and starting a new paradigm. More than half of the trade EU market global revenues are generated by 5 segments, agriculture, climate services, energy, infrastructure, urban development. However, there are niches that should be addressed more and with more persistency. I had the chance to verify that some of the companies already are working on it. In 2021, as Amaldi Foundation, we decided to focus on 3 sectors: agri-food, energy, and insurance. And just to give you an example, the insurance and financial segment, which is now more or less 5% of the global EU market trade commercial revenues is expected to achieve a substantial growth over the next decade in 10 years and become the largest contributors to EU global revenues in 2031 with a market share of almost 20%. The reason of this growth, is understandable. Insurance, it's driven now by the growing use of parametric insurance products, the so-called smart contracts, will increase its use and dissemination of EU data over the decade to manage the context of disaster resilience. However, engage an insurance company is very complicated. It's a regulated sector based on traditional approaches, which cannot be approached only by selling better quality maps at lower prices or more accurate on-demand services. There is a need for a paradigm shift in technology and space applications to provide better solutions. Solutions provided not just by more complex technologies, but also throughout new and different business models, as Gaetano Volpe, but also Cristoforo Battista from Latuto 40 and Planetech said. Today we have seen many beautiful examples of such an approach with many interesting solutions. It's a good start, and much more can be made, sharing and exchanging expertise from space and non-space actors and from public and private sectors. At the same time, I need to make a further consideration as based on the latest industry survey by the EASC, Association of European Remote Sensing Companies. In Europe, it's referred to Europe, SMEs and startups account for over 93% of the EU companies, demonstrating the importance of small businesses for the European economy. And I don't know exactly the situation in Australia, but I guess it's almost the same. What I want to underline is that it's necessary to invest even more in the role of startups and SMEs in space. This does not only mean increasing the financial shares of space projects aimed at SMEs, but enabling virtuous paths of innovation. It has the integration of the innovation capacity of SMEs, of startups within complex industrial projects on a national and international scale, overcoming the difficulties of engagement related to procurement or commercial and technical agreements, as underlined by Cristoforo Battista from Planetech. And of course, favoring even more the path of constant collaboration between startups and large private companies. A good job could be done in this sense, and I welcome your invitation, Nicola, your proposal to build a joint working group to explore upcoming opportunities. I think I have already stolen enough time from your rest for your commitment today, so I conclude. Thank you to all the experts and speakers who accept to participate to our in this event and bring their experience and know-how.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Let me say just the last two ideas. One is in 1 month in Adelaide, we have an Australian forum, national forum. So if some company or startup or SME or all together, they want to come here and take a stand, is something very, very economic, is more or less, I don't know if you are familiar with small satellites in Utah, that is the format. So but we have 1,000 people, 70, 80 private company in the exhibition area. The forum is on the website, so you can see the speakers that we have is one day. That is the first thing. The second thing, thanks Tim, because he did an amazing job. He's the #1 expert in the startup in the space sector in Australia. So he already shared with you all the email addresses. So you feel free, to make a contact, to talk each other. But if you send to, at least to me, Lorenzo, Tim, some idea, so we can try to elaborate and try to help. At the end of the story, the Amaldi and the Andy Thomas, they are two foundations, no charity foundation. So there is no business on this. So we do this to support the ecosystem, in particular the Andy Thomas to support the education in the old sector. So at the end of the story is just to support you all. So feel free to start to exchange idea among you, but at the same time, if you would like, take us in CC and we'll try to help you. And with this, I just would like to say thank you very much to everybody. Maria Cristina, the idea that has come from us many, 2-3 years ago, and then now this is the first outcome. So I think that we need to be very proud. Good night from here, and see you at the next event.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Buona giornata in
Ciao a
Italia.
tutti.
Ciao.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao,
everyone.
ciao. Alla prossima.
Nice evening, yeah.
Bye.